Hello, thank you for joining me. And today we're covering the Deep Church. That's right, the church is run by the deep state, baby, the CIA and all these subversive groups. And we're going to start off in the study really looking at Puerto Rico just because it's a fairly small place. And when you put all these big organizations and big names, they just stick out like a sore thumb. And these items that we're gonna talk about today have been ongoing for decades and decades, and so it's still active. As we're gonna thread this needle here, we're starting off in a CIA document. It's the Rockefeller Report, which was under FOIA, reveals how the CIA documented an All Creeds United event to counter communism. This event would host Billy Graham, among others, from various religious institutions. And it may have been the entry point for the CIA's infiltration in the church in America, since the CIA wasn't that old at the time. The person who was to sponsor the event was an Episcopal minister, Charles W. Lowry, and he wrote a book called Communism and Christ. And as you're going to see, all of the major denominations, all of the major seminaries, and the biggest names in American quote-unquote Christianity were tied to the CIA in one form or another. And we're looking at a terrorist organization and some events that happened around this to kind of give us some perspective. And this FALN terrorist network was included in the FBI's COINTELPRO program. We know that because there was a Department of Homeland Security document that I'll link that talks about all of this that we're going to get into. So COINTELPRO was, it's a counterintelligence program that was a series of covert and illegal projects conducted by the FBI. Yeah, if it wasn't illegal, they'd probably throw me in jail for really covering how the CIA was also in the heart of it, and it's ongoing. Okay, FBI aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting domestic American political organizations. Not just political, we're going to also see they did it through the church as well. The CIA may have been in political, but we'll see how they twist the knife. COINTELPRO resources targeted groups and individuals the FBI deemed subversive, including feminist, communist, anti-Vietnam War, activists, civil rights, Black Power, environmentalist, animal rights organizations. So anybody with a pulse knows that the current deep state within the FBI, within the CIA, and all these groups, all these people that they're saying are subversive are the ones that are in charge. If you question Ukraine, you're a terrorist, something domestic. I don't know, but anyway, these people run your church. People, wake up. Okay, FALN, Puerto Rico Terrorist Network. This comes from the Department of Homeland Security report. The most important piece of evidence was a letter that linked the four suspects to the National Commission of Hispanic Affairs of the Protestant Episcopal Church, a charitable organization based in New York City. As a sidebar, it was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, among others. That charitable organization based in New York that funded several projects to assist Hispanic communities all over the United States. We're just going to help them out. An investigation into NCHA revealed that its board of directors included individuals who had been identified as persons of interest in New York and Chicago bombings and all kinds of bad stuff. In particular, there was evidence that these persons had received funding for a series of unspecified activities, including personal and travel expenses. And as we saw, the CIA also had a program that was mentioned in that same document that was for students, and their travel was being paid for by the Rockefeller Foundation, along with the CIA. A grand jury was instituted in New York to compel the Episcopal Church to furnish records of these financial transactions and explain its ties with Falun. And Maria Coedo, executive director of the commission, and Raisa Naimakin, her secretary, were subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury but refused to testify and were hailed in contempt of court. These events raised public attention and caused a little divide within the church. Yeah. But, they led to nothing. So these people operate within the church and really whatever organizations the CIA has them in. And they attract people to them. And then they, create some events, some activities. And when those events and activities get raided by the FBI, then it justifies all of the heavy-handed government control that comes down after that. And they have no problem operating within your churches, people. And we'll see that here. Supporters gathered outside the scene, shouting at the agents, "Get out of here, damned FBI!" And FBI cowards, assassins, terrorists. In Aguadilla, the FBI searched the home of another CEDECO director, Presbyterian minister, and independentist Jose Morales. The very same afternoon, the FBI conducted its show of force. Hundreds of people gathered outside the federal courthouse, which houses the FBI offices, to express their indignation. Called by the Workers' Socialist Movement, MST by its Spanish acronym, people of all ages, walks of life marched and chanted as elected officials, spokespeople from a variety of organizations whose homes had been ransacked spoke. And all these people are going to be tied to workers' movements and all of these, today, LGBTQ, whatever, socialist, all of the people that COINTELPRO said that the FBI thought was subversive. I guess they're not so subversive anymore. Okay, it's moving on. CEDECO. We saw this connected to the, what was that? Presbyterian preacher? What was he? Yeah, Presbyterian minister. All right, is a community partner of Puerto Rico Rises Corporation, which leased a network of shuttered public schools across Puerto Rico to distribute food and hurricane supplies for disaster recovery aid. They provide workshops. They partner with churches, which is really strange, right? Because you don't see a lot of pro-LGBT and socialist organizations. They kind of don't like churches. Even the churches that, try to talk about Jesus and it being somewhat okay to be gay, or I'm not sure. But anyway, so they say by acquiring the right to use 6 of the closed schools and turn them into community development centers, CEDECO, PRR, is returning to these communities a common space to be educated and developed. What are they educating and developing for? Offers social entities a workspace to share for the implementation of their programs and projects, which I believe in that article where they call the FBI terrorists, they said that the nice man, oh, we didn't see it in that part of the article, but they say the nice man had projects and education for individuals. So I guess these are them. They also provide a food bank, a preventative health clinic, a market and a garden area for farmers. They create jobs, promote culture, and increase tourism. Long-term impact. Now, it is funny they mentioned preventative health because the Rockefeller Foundation, they were into preventative health in Puerto Rico and they were paying for hysterectomies related to their work in the Population Council, which, by the way, was started before World War II, was an ethnic cleansing organization that happened before the Nazis did their thing. And they wanted to keep the population of Puerto Rico down to 1 million people. And in their own words, I've got a link I can drop in there. Okay, so CEDECO will educate 2,000 individuals a year, create an economy and job creation with approximately 225 new direct and indirect employment in the first year. Will promote cultural activity, local artisans, local products, agriculture, monthly assistance to 250 families per CEDECO, and estimating a total of 18,000 food baskets annually. They're receiving money from the government to do this, and the same organizations that, they're pretty well connected here at Puerto Rico Rises Corp. Their CEO, does a lot within music and whatever, and she created Ponte Verde Juventud, where more than 650 schools and over 14,000 students participated in workshops and eco-friendly exhibitions for several years. They have this new network called SACA, S-A-C-A. When the national emergency system is activated, SACA is activated in parallel in opening regional and area centers around the island. And we can all see where this is going. So anyway, their goal in Puerto Rico is to cause a color revolution. So if you don't know about a color revolution, they basically, I'll read this. The state and society as a whole must combat part of itself that is rising up against the status quo, leading to a conflict of interest and a social civil war. Depending upon the level of provocation that the pro-liberal democratic protesters initiate, as well as instances of mismanagement by the state in dealing with the uprising, or the disaster recovery, or the deaths during Hurricane Maria, or the water bottles that got left and not sent out to the people that needed it during Hurricane Maria. There's just a lot of that going on. How about the massive fraud that's happening within? Hey, how about the disaster recovery? How about the Hurricane Maria disaster recovery? Where did all that money that's been given go? Might certain organizations, and have already been convicted in Mayaguez, Puerto Rico, might they have some idea where that money went? Democratic protesters initiated, as well as instances of mismanagement dealing with the social uprising. The civil war may eventually turn violent and briefly resemble an actual civil war. This is especially so if protesters have been armed by forces outside the country, or if they attack security services tasked with dispersing color revolution. Now, they have passed a plebiscite vote for Puerto Rico to become independent. This is not going to go that way. They are going to be, they want blood. Any ideology needs to have a financial infrastructure in order to facilitate its permeation of a society. So through the churches, through the disaster recovery organizations, through the abandoned schools, they already have their infrastructure set up, people. They're operating this. This organization also runs within the all of the churches, which are World Congress of Churches. We know from the past, World Congress of Churches had 5 KGB agents in their central committee and high operative posts. Their founder, John Mott, was a Freemason who was a Rockefeller man. And anyway, we also know that Inter-American University, a lot of the both Freemason and Club of Rome kind of groups are operating within Puerto Rico. Inter-American University just held a conference decolonizing the churches. So look, guys, we can see where all of this is going. And if you think they stopped funding Billy Graham, you're not paying attention, are you? The church is run by the deep state. Wake up. God bless you. I'm out.